Welcome to the What to Next podcast. I am so excited to be back. Today's a little delay because it's been a week for me, but I really want to share this episode that I recorded by my friend Jules. Jules is a newer friend of mine that we met about a year ago. We connected and we built a new friendship that has blossomed into someone that I actually look forward to talking to. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how we make adult friends, as well as 6 books recommendations that are related to friendship. So if you're looking for new friendships as an adult, this episode's for you. So let's get to the show. Hi, Jules.
Hello and happy Galentine's Day, Laura.
Happy Galentine's Day. I love this conversation that we're going to have because we're kind of like newer friends. Like we got to know each other this past year, but I think it's a great telling as a lot of people are looking for community and making new friends as an adult. We are a good example of how you can build a friendship.
Agree. And I find it interesting too because wasn't Amy Poehler the one who came up with Galentine's Day? And she is very much a topic of conversation in our text.
Yes, I love it. I think Parks and Recreation, she brought out Valentine's Day tend to be a commercial, like romantic. But you know what? We got to take care of our friendships. And Valentine's Day is the day before Valentine's Day. You go take your girlfriends out for lunch and go or dinner and just celebrate your female friendships. And I
just
love,
appreciate them.
yes. And I love her podcast. I'm so grateful that she started a podcast, unlike other celebrities, because it's her attitude is much more like fun and conversation.
Yes.
Which is what I want to hear on my ears. I don't want to hear someone yelling at me for telling misinformation.
Yeah, it's so light and joyful, and I'm loving that about what she's bringing to the space.
Yeah, even just asking their people's friends to talk behind their back in a good way. So it's about friendship.
So I know we're going to talk about 3 female friendship books each. So should we first introduce ourselves and talk about how we met and became friends?
Yeah, let's do it. So do you want to start?
Why don't you start?
Well, I am Laura. I am actually a long-running podcaster. I've been podcasting for about 10 years, and I've been podcasting in this book space for about 8 years. And I've been sharing author interviews, friend interviews, and I've used the podcast a lot of time as a way to get to know friends and get to know people. I'm kind of like an introvert slash extrovert, so I love actually having conversations and getting to know. And so I've used the podcast as speed dating route. I lived in New York long term until 2020, and then I moved to Chicago, and I did not know anybody. And I was alone and in a really strange city. And so one of the things that I did was to interview a bunch of authors. And at that point, I've interviewed about 500 of them. And a lot of times we're just kind of like an opportunity to get to know. So one of the reasons why I actually reached out to Jules was that I posted a post about magazines on Substack about how to read magazines. And Jules actually liked it. And I actually have followed Jules' journey as a blogger. And so I decided to reach out to Jules and I was like, hey, will you be interested in coming on the podcast? I love what you're doing because she has transitioned over to Gilmore Girls. And we connected and it turns out we have a lot of things in common. And
we spoke for a few hours off podcast.
Yes, which doesn't happen that often, which is like a rare thing. But a lot of times what I realized is I've made a really close-knit of female friendships and I still stay in touch. Whether they live outside of where I currently live in Florida, they live in other places, is a lot of it times is about sliding into people's DM and getting to talk about common interests and then taking the conversation offline, off social media into WhatsApp or voice messages or actually inviting them for the podcast.
Yeah, that's exactly what I take from our meeting as well. And you were really good at reaching out. And I remember that I also, and I try to do this, like when I connect with someone, especially like I was new on Substack, I try to make that extra effort to not just like something to like actually go in and message someone and say, oh, hey, I saw your work. I think it's really cool what you're doing. Like it just opens up those doors. And I think it's so hard to meet female friends as an adult that you really do have to take those little extra steps and they really do make a difference. Like I was on Bookstagram for many years and like I've met a lot of friends that way as well. And it's just, we go through school and all that, and it's a lot easier that you're all contained in the same space and you don't really have to make those extra efforts. But in the real world, you really do, but it is worth it.
It is worth it. I think in some ways it takes to it's a low stake, sending a DM and seeing if you're a right fit. And
Mhm.
I've gone to friend dates that are not the right fit for me. We are different values or different stages in life. And so it's just accepting. And I think friendships come and go. I think there's a lot of stigma that it has to be the same way. And you have different friends at different stages of life or where you are. Like to my friends who actually have children, stay at home moms, I'm their childless, partnerless friend
Right.
who is living the best life possible, and I get to care about their kids and like actually support them and hear them vent. And I'm the outside coming in. And at the same time, I have friends who are childless, who are going through other places. And I'm like, actually, we have things in common and I'm not alone. So I think it's like an opportunity to hear other people's perspective and at the same time to feel connected. I've been alone for a long time, but I rarely feel lonely. And I can tell you, even in Chicago, I did not feel lonely. I actually felt connected. I felt like I have friends who
Right.
give me unconditional love, and they're part of the people who actually support me through the days.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful thing.
Uh,
Loneliness is an epidemic right now.
Yes, yes. And I think in some ways, it's alone and loneliness are two very different things. Alone is
Mhm.
choice, and you can actually be alone or you can not, or something happen. But loneliness is like, what is happening to the space? And a lot of times you have to take that extra step. And I'm not saying that making friends is very easy. It takes time. I'm building a local community here in Tampa, and it takes energy to put yourself out there and to see, do we have the same values? Do we have the same worldviews or we have same interests? And then building that connection and then trying to foster those relationships. It's taken me 5 years to make local friends, but that's part of the process.
And I think another thing that really worked well for us, because we both are in similar workspaces,
Yeah.
is that we never took a competitive approach to it.
No. Yeah, like I think the competitive, I think a lot of people feel like there's a scarcity mentality, whereas there's
Right.
only one person, there's only one stuff. And the reality, you gain so much more with collaborations, you gain so much more with connecting with other people and just look for the best out of others. Like I've come from a place where there's enough for everyone. People want to consume what they want to consume and they can toggle, but I think it helps. And I think having genuine friendships and having conversations make it much more richer as opposed to just having a stranger and okay, we just get to know each other. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's, but having friendships are actually my best performing episodes.
So I haven't introduced myself,
Yeah,
so I
okay,
probably
good.
should. So I am Jules, and I work at Friday Night Readers, and this is a book club that reads the books on Gilmore Girls. I started as a blogger in 2019 at a blog called Literary Lifestyle. I'll actually get into the origins of it with one of my book choices today. But the thing that really stuck with my audience and that stuck with me was around the time of the pandemic when I started rewatching Gilmore Girls and reading the books on it. That's what really hit with people. And just middle of last year, I switched fully to the books on Gilmore Girls and moved most of my work over to Substack. And so that's been a thriving and growing community. And it's the 6th year now that we're reading the books from Gilmore Girls.
Yes, I love the community you've been building because you're not only talking about Gilmore Girls, which we love as a comfort show, but you're talking about a very Gilmore lifestyle and like Gilmore Burns and Laura kind of like all over the place, but we love her for what she is. And so you provide us like the different sense. And I think your recommendations actually show the different type of friendships that we see in the show, which I love.
Yeah, I agree. And when I picked my 3 books for today, I put little notations of which friends from the show I would recommend it to. And so I do go outside the books from Gilmore Girls, but I always try to bring it back somehow. And I think the books that I chose today will show you how I bring it back.
Let's talk
Okay.
about your books because I think this is my way, and then I'll talk about my books because it's a little bit different touch.
All right. My first one is my favorite book of all time, My Brilliant Friends by Elena Ferrante. Do not let this horrible cover prevent you from reading it. There are newer covers. I'm not sure what's going on with this one, but it is my favorite book of all time. And the way I was introduced to it was in 2019. We were planning our honeymoon to Italy, and my sister-in-law said, "Oh, I know you love books." This was before my blog. "I know you love books, and you're going to Italy. You have to read this book." It's actually a book series. There's 4 books. My brilliant friend and I said, "Well, I never heard of that." So the next day, a box showed up at my porch, and it had all 4 books in it, and it became my favorite book of all time. I did read the whole series, but this particular book, and I will say it was also number one on the New York Times best books of the 21st century.
Oh.
I don't recall the whole criteria of how they chose those, but it was number one. So this is a story for the literary fiction lovers. And I'm calling this one a good recommendation for Rory and Lane. You'll see some threads of Rory and Lane's friendship. So it's set in 1950s Naples, Italy. And this is a very post-World War II. There's poverty, there's violence, and these two young girls, Elena and Lila, meet and they connect over a book, Little Women, a book that many young women love. And it's clear that they're both very smart, but their life takes a different trajectory from there. So Elena follows a very traditional educational path, while Lila has to go and work with her family's business. And it's a lot about what opportunities are available to women and how this educational decision changes their lives, but it's not necessarily what you think. It's not preachy because it really does go back and forth. And you see highs and lows in both of their lives and a lot of like cat and mouse, push and pull. And it really like surprises you and grabs your emotions. It becomes I don't want to say they're frenemies. They're frenemies in like kind of a different way because they're always sort of like in each other's shadow in a different way. And it's always bouncing back and forth between who is the brilliant friend. So very literary. People like Rory would love to read it. People say that once you start reading her work, you never want to read anything ever again. And that's the way I felt. The only other cool thing I will note is it did inspire me. So I did this book to go to Italy, and then I started doing other books to go to Italy. And while we were there, we were taking notes. And I had all these book reviews on my phone and all these like where to go in Italy and what we loved and what we didn't love. And I was like, well, I feel like I should put them together and make a blog out of this, like almost like literary travel. So that was how the impetus for my blog started. And then I will also note that when the adaptation for this show came out on HBO, one of the characters goes on her honeymoon to the exact same hotel we went to.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I love this story. And I love how this book actually led you to start a new career. Because it was
crazy, right? And became my favorite book of all time.
I love it. I love the fact that it's like we pick books to travel and we get to know the culture, we get to know the places, and we get to see the flavor of what it was like to do that before traveling. It savors a part of traveling. I love planning traveling. I love thinking about traveling and then being in the place and enjoying fully. And I think books like this capture that essence.
And I do still feel, when I really thought about it, like Gilmore Girls is so much lighter than this book, but when you really think about it, Rory had that traditional educational path, but she still struggled to define herself. And that's how Elena was in this book. And then Lane was sort of, she got pregnant young. I hope that's not a spoiler for anyone. And stopped her education early. And we see how that affected her life and limited her choices. And that's exactly what happens with Lila. And there's not really a right or wrong, but it's very much about like women's rights and where women are. And it's still true today because we see it in Gilmore Girls.
Yes, I love this. A companion, I know this is a bonus recommendation, but something similar. Anne of a Different Island has a similar relationship with both friends and has education. She is moving back to Mackinac Island. And her best friend who's staying on the island ended up marrying early and getting pregnant and having this dynamic. And it's an interesting, similar path of a young relationship from what I'm hearing, similar elements. So, and that's a new book that comes out.
I've seen you recommend that. Is that a retelling of Anne of Green Gables or
it's a
modern retake?
It's a
reimagining, yes.
Yeah, it's not quite Anne of Green Gables because it's not Canadian and it's not set in Prince Edward Island. But Anne Gallagher loves Anne Shirley so much that she tells everyone she wants to live like Anne Shirley, but she realizes maybe life is not like your favorite book.
Gotcha. This sounds really good. I've seen you recommend it a few times, and I think I am officially putting it on my list now.
Please do. And it's not spicy.
And I think my readers will like that too.
Yeah. So, all right. My recommendations are books that came out in 2026. Anne of a Different Island is one of them. My first recommendation is I do have the book Too Blessed to Trust by Alli, Hoff, Kosik. This is an interesting relationship because we got 4 friends or frenemies or friends of convenience. They're 4 Christian influencers who have come together to build a collaboration similar like we have the collaboration. And they just want to share their moral values or what they're learning from the church and all these different things. At the same time, they're trying to help the church on their part, which is non-denominational, help with the gala, with the human trafficking gala. And they're realizing that not all it's what it seems to be. Each one have its own issues and their own struggles. And it just brings us a relationship. What are relational convenience? Like girls who want to be part of them because they're kind of like well-known as influencers, and how they actually go through life in this space where we're thinking online relationships, what's happening in real life. You read this book too.
I did. So I think it's probably a good time to transition to my book, because my next book, because it's very much about two women who are in the same field at the same time with the same ambitions. And this was interesting to me. It's Truth and Beauty by Ann Patchett, and it is a memoir. And it's about her friendship with a woman whose name is Lucy Greeley. And they were both in the Iowa Writers Workshop together, which is like a really famous, I think Ellen Hildebrand went to that and a bunch of other authors. Kylie Reed, I think, went there, Claire Lombardo. So that was interesting to me because I went to law school. So I totally get what it's like to be in an environment where literally everyone, including your best friends, are all applying to the same jobs, and you have to. And I think that's helped me later in my life take a collaborative approach versus a competitive approach, because I had to learn at a young age that, well, yeah, I want her to get a job. And maybe I didn't get that job, but maybe there is another job for me that is better for me, or just you just learn to live with it. So anyway, what's interesting about this friendship is that, first of all, Ann Patchett is my favorite author. And I think she makes the very ordinary things in life feel extraordinary. I think that's the beauty of her writing. And this is a very special friendship. So Lucy had childhood cancer and it left her disfigured. And she goes through a lot of facial surgeries throughout her life. And this is about what it means to be a friend during the hard times, because Lucy is a difficult friend. She battles addiction. She battles all of these issues with her identity and how she looks and seeking love and validation and kind of going from man to man. And you see what it means to unconditionally love a friend. And that's really the beauty in it. And it's not, I don't want anyone to think it's like speaking negatively about Lucy. It's not. It's shown with so much love, but it's a different play on friendship. And I listened to it on audio while I was moving. And I still have such a visceral experience listening to this story. And oh my gosh, I cannot believe what is happening in this. It just felt so juicy, and so much happened. And you felt so many feelings that were going on in their friendship. And the other cool thing about it is that Lucy wrote a book, Autobiography of a Face. So you can read them as companions as well. So you get both sides of the story.
Oh my gosh, so it's a memoir.
It's a memoir, yeah.
Oh, I thought
They're
it was
both memoirs.
Yeah, I thought it was fiction.
Yeah, and Patchett writes, I'd say like maybe 30 to 40% of her stuff is nonfiction. And usually it's essays. This is more of a nonfiction narrative memoir. And it's just, you just feel so many things. My brilliant friend is like that too. Like it really brings out the emotions of what these deep female friendships are like. And not just the good times, but the hard times.
Yes. Oh, I now need to pick this one up. And now I know that there's the other side. Because a lot of times there's two sides or three sides of the stories.
Very much true.
And whatever the truth is. So.
Right. And you can find empathy on both sides. And I do recommend it on audio. Like I'm telling you, I could not turn it off.
I am picking this one up. So the next one I'm going to talk about is, it's a mystery. So we're going to go into the mystery because that's like my new bread and butter. This is what I love. So it's Rachel West and the Fallen Starlet. So I'm going to set the stage. The author started writing this book in 2008. So it is set in 2008 in LA, where TMZ was just a hot spot, where the paparazzis were. We were watching The Hills, The Jew, One Oak, and all this.
What was the Jessica Simpson show?
Oh, Newlyweds.
Newlyweds. I was talking Honeymooners, but that's a different show.
Yes. So basically, Rachel is a tabloid. She dropped out of medical school. She's copy editor at a tabloid in LA because her brother died of childhood cancer. And while he was in the hospital, she found comfort reading tabloid magazines like Us Weekly, Star, and everything. And so she's doing that. And on the bathroom, she meets Molly, who is a former Disney star who is like up and coming actor / Lindsay Lohan a little bit. She is all over the place. And Rachel and Molly struck a friendship, and people think it's a friendship of convenience because Molly used to give her all the extra stuff, like all the clothes, all those different things, and got her the breakout story for Rachel to get promoted and walks Rachel to how to get promoted. But a couple months later, Molly had an overdose and is found dead. And Rachel has to figure out what happened to Molly. And she is first tabloids, hey, can you break the story? Can you tell us what's going on? And Rachel quits her job to become an amateur sleuth. Molly leaves her actually money and a house. And so, along with her neighbors, who are an amazing group of people in LA, we have TV writers who write CSI. We have a hacker who knows how to find the information. We try to uncover what happened to Molly, and it's a juicy, freaking fun mystery. You're just trying, but it's so rich in the 2008 LA tabloid TMZ. We see cameos of Lobos Crossword, like we see cameos of all the famous starlets and Britney Spears and everything.
So this setting sounds like the star of the show to me.
Yeah.
Because that was a time.
It was a time. It was like, I had so much fun. So Emma Mills actually writes YA. Actually, she's a well-known YA author. And the author, so she says, I wasn't planning to set it up in 2008. I just started writing this book in 2008. And so it's been on the drawer for that long. And so,
wow.
And actually having this book that feels such a millennial love story.
And this is adult though, right?
It is coming out in May. So you should definitely pre-order it if you're looking for a good cousin mystery. So
this is making me think of Maureen Gu, who you had recommended her new adult book, One and Only. And she was also a YA author. And her last book was Throwback. And I think that was a 90s book.
Yeah. So a lot of these authors, I think they know each other or something like that. So a lot of the YA authors of the 2010s have moved on to adult books, whether it's mysteries or rom-coms or actually just matched up literary specific. Because I think Mary H.K. Shelley, who wrote for The Summer Turned Pretty, now has one that's called The Pool House. So I'm actually got the arc. So I'm curious to see what she does. But I'm really enjoying these YA authors who are just basically writing in this new space.
Yeah, me too. It's honestly been the highlight of my year.
Yeah.
Thank you, Galentine, because you recommended it to me.
So that's Rachel West and The Fallen Starlet by Emma Mills. It comes out in May, but definitely pre-order it. I'm assuming the audio is going to be excellent. So either way, however you consume it, just pre-order it if you're a millennial at heart.
Yeah, I totally think it sounds like so millennial-coded.
Yes.
So I'll move on to my third recommendation. I debated this one, but my other two books are kind of heavy. So I wanted something that feels like a friendship that's a balm for the soul. Yeah. And this one is Lorelai and Sookie coded because it's very much about food. I have it, so I'll hold it up. It's Love and Saffron by Kim Fay. I've heard so many people talk about this book on social media. And then I went to my local used bookstore. I was going to say consignment bookstore, but I think used bookstore makes more sense. So look at this. Can you see that?
Oh my gosh, it's
and so I looked up. So it is, for anyone who's listening and not watching, it's a signed book. And I looked up her signature and it matched. So I'm assuming it really was signed by her, which is really cool to just pick up off a used bookstore shelf and not know. But you can also see how nice and short this book is. And it's epistolary. So it's like one that you can really flip through on an afternoon. And this is another 1960s. So you get a lot of threads of women's rights through the stories of these women. One is an aspiring food writer in Los Angeles, and the other is a food columnist in Seattle.
Yeah.
And the one who's aspiring writer writes a letter to the famous food columnist, and it starts a dialogue back and forth. And I think what's interesting is a few things. Like, one is that you don't have to be in person with a friend to be a friend, because their friendship develops over many years. And I think we're going into a time where people are looking at more analog living, and things like pen pals are becoming more popular to do and things like that. And I think it shows that you don't have to be in person. And even one of the things I wrote on my notes too is I used to be on the phone with my girlfriends all the time. And it's like you have to make those efforts now to do things like write a little note or send a little Galentine's Day card or St. Patrick's Day card all those little things that we did naturally in the past, now we make an effort. And it really does make a difference because they experience so much with each other. And it all comes back to food at the same time. So you have that like sort of food porn as well that feels very sooky and very comforting. And the food sort of gets them through the difficult things in life. It's both heartwarming and a little bit heartbreaking. And I'm not sure if I said this already, but it's like you can read it in an afternoon. I think it'd be fun to do with a friend and then do a cooking class together.
Oh my gosh, that would be like a perfect book club, book discussion group.
It absolutely would.
I love the idea of reminding of like when we used to talk on the phone. Like when I was in high school and stuff, I would be like talking to my friends. Like I'll see them in school and then I'll be like, well, there's one for an hour.
So when I was a teenager, I wasn't allowed to have my own line, but my mom actually bought me a headset because I spent so many hours walking around with a phone glued to my ear.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. You had the whole thing of having your own line was like ultimate because otherwise you need to talk to your parents. Like you was
100%. Oh my gosh. Kids today do not understand what it was like to ask someone to prom by first talking to their mom or dad.
Yeah. So it was such thing as a landline, like a house phone. Like it was not like you were just living with the phone all together. But I love this idea of bringing back the analog living of pen pals or even just high communication. In the odds, I used to send emails to my friends actually because I was at work and I had nowhere to go and I had access to Gmail and I was in the office. So I would just send emails to it or we'll talk on Gchat back in the day, which replaced AIM. And yeah, anyway, we do have text messages, but it's not the same when you're having a Gchat conversation to a friend.
So what's your third book?
My third book is the ultimate girl group, the Golden Girls. So we got
I love it.
Golden Girls Cozy Mystery is a series that's happening. And there's going to be a second book coming out this year. But the first book is already out. It's Murder by Cheesecake. And it has all the elements of the Golden Girls living in Miami. And they're trying to solve a murder. So this one, the first one is set in... There we go.
That's why I went off screen. So I got magnets of the Golden Girls for my birthday.
So Rose's cousin is living in Miami, and Rose wants to keep the traditions thing alive, but the cousin's family doesn't want to have those traditions, and so they're planning a wedding. Dorothy goes to a beach house and looks for a date, and she finds a guy that she finds tolerable, and she invites him to come on a date, and he is horrible. And they find him in the freezer dead. First, they have to uncover what happened to him. It is hilarious. It is fun. It has the elements of the the Golden Girls. It's just like a fun little environment with it. The second book is coming out. I haven't read it, but I'm very excited for it. The audios are available on Audible exclusive, which sucks. But if you want to avoid paying, try to get a free trial on Amazon Music. Right. You're able to listen to them. But it's fun. Just the Golden Girls as amateur sleuths. What more can you ask?
So these are the 4 Golden Girls that are the characters. So this is really cool. I guess they got the rights to write about it.
It's Disney. Disney owns it.
Gotcha.
So yes, a lot of Disney books are reimagining. But we're getting Nancy, which is Nancy.
Yeah, I think this is really smart.
Nancy Drew Mystery, where Nancy is actually, we just got the announcement yesterday. Nancy and her former best friend are working towards solving a crime. So I'm loving all these mysteries.
And we also got news yesterday that American Girl is getting its first adult novel.
Yes, and it's Fiona Davis.
Who's amazing.
So yes, so I love all this. They're keeping us happy. They're serving us some books for us.
Yeah, we're very much about the fandoms.
Yes.
And so I love Golden Girls. What I will say is I watched Golden Girls with my grandmother when I was younger. And my grandmother very much looked like Betty White. Yeah. So she always reminded me of Betty White. But what's interesting to me, so those women were, I believe, only in their 50s at the time. And so I grew up in Scranton, like home of the office. And my grandmother and all of her girlfriends all lost their spouses at young ages. Most of their spouses had worked in coal mines. Yeah. And either had something with their lungs or some other sort of issue that men died a lot earlier. So it really was, her life really was this community of women who had to find a way to get through life and move forward with your girls at that point. And when you think about it, they're only in their 50s.
Yeah, they're only in the 50s. So you want to sort of just have roommates that you actually like. You know?
Yeah, it very much was true for I don't know if it's true for everywhere, but it was true for my time and what I saw in my grandmother's life.
Yeah.
That's another great recommendation. Very fun recommendations. You're definitely in a cozy mystery era.
I am in all types of cozy mysteries, millennial mysteries, which are a little bit grown up. Cozy cozies are just a little bit gory, but I try to just keep them fun. It doesn't give me nightmares. It's great to fall asleep with.
If we'll see some Gilmore Girls novels.
I just hope so. I don't know who owns the licensing rights, so it just depends on who gets the IP, but we might get some reimagining or some sort. So
Yeah, I'd love to see Lane.
yes.
People always say justice for Lane.
Yes, we need reimaginings of these stories. So
Yeah, I would love that. And then it's fun because you can add in the music as well.
yes. Oh, a rock star. A little bit.
So we have 6 book recommendations. Should we move on? And before we end, we talked a lot about female friendships, and maybe we can share a few things, a few ideas to get your female friendships going on Galentine's Day.
Yeah. So I personally am an active person, so I tend to take classes, and that's actually one of my ways to. I don't like to go drinking or anything like that, so I tend to be like, "Hey, can we do a yoga class or fitness class or go for a walk and talk date?" Like opportunities just to get active a little bit, just sweat a little bit, but at the same time, you most of the time feel torture, but it's a good way of having conversation afterwards. So that's like my go-to. I've met friends in my yoga studio. For my yoga studio, I taken it to other classes, and yeah, but I love walk and talk. When I live in New York, that was like a big one. We'll just go pick a neighborhood, and we'll walk all over the neighborhood.
I love that because I'm trying to get steps in, and I realize how many steps I need, which is really like over an hour of walking a day, which is hard to do with a full work day.
Yeah.
To get those 10,000. So I love that because it's like bang for your buck.
Yes. It's like you can just find a little like neighborhood and stuff and just go for a walk. And then you just have some matcha. I don't like matcha, but coffee or like a drink or something. Like it just allows it to just have a little bit of like fun. Other times it's like just doing an activity. I think we might do this activity of going to a class on how to make candles and stuff.
Yeah.
So crafty class.
I was going to mention that as well. So we have not met in real life yet, but I am coming to Tampa for spring training.
Yeah.
I'm a huge sports fan, and my husband is working in Tampa at the same time as spring training. And I went last year while he was working, but he didn't get to go. So this time we're going to go a little early and go to spring training over the weekend. So we're going to meet up hopefully and go to Oxford Exchange, which is my absolute favorite bookstore.
Yeah.
And they do have candle making within the bookstore.
Yeah.
And I did it last year with a group of girls, and we had a great time. And not only did we have a great time, but I got what do you call the things with the sticks? The scent with the sticks?
Yeah.
A reed diffuser.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's lasted this whole time. So I'm looking up reed diffusers online, and I'm like, you know what? I should just go back there. We had fun doing that. And then you can go and get a book. And then they have like coffee and tea there too. You can do brunch, you can shop. It is the best place.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to recommend, so I got a permanent jewelry last week while we were away from my husband's work. And I was like kind of against it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not want to do this permanent jewelry activity. And then once we went, it was actually kind of fun. Like they set up a brunch, and it was like a mimosa bar and a Bloody Mary bar and a coffee bar and food. And then everyone sort of helped each other pick out like which one looked best on them. And everyone was just so low key. And we travel a few times a year with my husband's work. And it really, those are like developing friendships. Like I've got numbers at that event that those are people I will talk to over the next several years, if not decades, at these events and beyond. So it really did actually make that bonding experience.
Yes, I would encourage you if you're looking for new online communities and take them in real life, look for hobbies and see if there's actually meetups. I know there's like job journaling. I know there's calligraphy. Like there's actually book clubs. There's all types of book clubs. Not every book club has to be epistolary. It can be romance. It can be romantasy. There's places. Libraries actually do offer some social aspects of it.
Yes.
So that's a good place to do. You don't have to spend money from it. So look for events. Look for local events in your place. Go. It's okay to go by yourself.
It's okay.
Meet someone. Same goes if you go to a concert by yourself. It is okay.
I've actually made a lot of friends locally at author events.
Yes. Yeah. So go to an event, talk to the person next to you, maybe start a conversation of like, hey, did you like the book? What's going on? or just be open to conversations, and people will come and talk to you.
Yeah, I really think it's just a matter of putting yourself out there. It's like that extra little step.
Yes. It just takes time, but you just have to just do it. Yeah.
And nurturing it too.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's basically share where we can find each other online.
I am Friday Night Readers, and I think the best place to find me, what I look at as my hub, is Substack. Speaking of communities and safe spaces and trying to make friends in a world that we used to be able to not doom scroll on social media. Now it's a lot harder. So I'm trying to make a more exclusive, private, safe community on Substack. So FridayNightReaders.substack.com is probably the best place. And again, we read the books from Gilmore Girls and try to live the Gilmore lifestyle, and all of that encompasses.
Awesome. I'm What to Read Next podcast. I'm available on all major podcast streamings. If you want to get the links, you can go to whattoreadnextblog.com. But I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and yeah, find me anywhere. And if you're looking for an author, chances are there's an author interview there for you.
That's true. You are the author interview expert.
Yeah. Jules, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Laura.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you for being a friend in the words of the Golden Girls.